Welcome back to 90 Plus 1, and today we bring you 91% of 100 facts about the world's biggest footballing rivalries. However, we'll be avoiding El Clasico because those mad bastards have done enough to warrant a video all to themselves, so watch out for that Christmassy episode. 1. Paul Dickoff scored Arsenal's first Premier League goal against Spurs in 1993. 2. Tottenham won that game 3-1 and won the return fixture. That is the last time they've done the double over Arsenal in the league. 3. Jimmy Robertson and Adebayor are the only players to have scored for both sides in the North London derby. 4. The biggest attendance for the fixture was 77,893 in 1991. That will likely be beaten in February when Arsenal travel to Tottenham's temporary home. 5. Arsenal have won the league twice at White Hart Lane, in 1971 and 2004. 6. All-round professional Towser Adebayor has scored the most goals in the derby with 10. 7. Tottenham's Harry Kane is the only player to score a brace on his derby debut. 8. He was also one of Arsenal's own, being released by Arsenal when he was 8 years old. 9. Terry Dyson, Ted Drake and Alan Sunderland are the only players to have scored a hat-trick in the derby. 10. Pat Jennings has the most combined appearances, making 590 appearances for Spurs before moving directly to Arsenal and making 327. 11. David O'Leary has played in more derbies than anyone, with 35. 12. However, Pat Jennings leads the way for those who have played for both, playing in 23 derbies for Tottenham and 9 for Arsenal. 13. Overall, 18 players have played for both Arsenal and Tottenham. 14. George Graham is the only man to manage both teams, achieving silverware with both. 15. The biggest victory in the fixture was 6-0 to Arsenal in 1935. 16. In total, Arsenal can boast 80 derby wins to Tottenham's 62. 17. Arsenal also won the first ever meeting between the two clubs. 18. The highest scoring derby was the 5-4 thriller back in 2004. 19. Tottenham vs Arsenal is the highest scoring fixture in the Premier League with 141 goals. 20. Pochettino is unbeaten against Arsenal in the league ever since he took over Tottenham. 21. This means it is the first time Arsene Wenger has gone at least 5 league games without beating Tottenham. They had won 4 out of 5 before Pochettino turned up. 22. Harry Kane has scored in every league derby he's played in. 23. That means he only needs 3 more to match Billy Minter and Bobby Smith as the record Tottenham goalscorer in the North London derby. 24. Liverpool and United are relatively far apart in usual derby terms, but their mutual hate is fueled by the two cities' economic and industrial rivalry, domestic football dominance, and their popularity abroad as their biggest supported teams. 25. In the 1996 FA Cup final, a Liverpool fan spat at Eric Cantona and threw a punch at Alex Ferguson as they walked up to collect the trophy. 26. In the 2006 FA Cup match at Anfield, a Liverpool fan chucked human excrement at the United fans. That means he launched a bit of poo, if you were wondering. 27. In 2016, Liverpool fans hung a banner on the M62 saying, "Mank bastards," as United fans drove to the match. United fans responded in the second leg by hanging a banner saying, "Murderers." I mean, it's not quite equal banter, is it? Jesus Christ. 28. Gerrard, George Wall and Sandy Turnbull are joint top scorers in the derby with 9 each. 29. United currently lead the honours table with 66 to Liverpool's 60. When Fergie took the reins in 1986, Liverpool were the most successful team in England with 41 trophies. But when Fergie retired in 2013, he had managed to, in his own words, knock Liverpool right off their fucking perch, leaving United on a total of 61 trophies. 30. All that perch knocking means United currently have 79 wins to Liverpool's 65. 31. I lied. This fact is actually a poll for you lucky lot. With both clubs' successes dying down in recent years, which derby do you think is the biggest in the Premier League? Vote in the poll now. Mad. 32. Liverpool vs Everton used to be called the friendly derby, with fans not often needing to be segregated. However, since the mid-80s it has become feisty, and since the inception of the Premier League, it has seen more red cards than any other game. 33. The club's grounds are the closest in the Premier League, with just under a mile walk separating the two. 34. Liverpool's home Anfield used to be Everton's home ground, before a rent dispute caused them to move to Goodison Park, and Liverpool were created to play at Anfield. 35. It's the longest running top-flight derby in English football, having been played home and away every season since 1962. 36. Twitter king and rotund retiree Neville Southall has appeared a record 41 times in the fixture, with Ian Rush scoring the most with 25. 37. In the 2006 derby, Steven Gerrard and James Beattie wore 08 on the back of their shirts because the city had just been voted European Capital of Culture for 2008. 38. Despite their rivalry, Liverpool have completed more direct transfers with Everton than any other club. 39. Only 2 players have scored for both sides in the derby, David Johnson and Peter Beardsley. 40. Overall, Liverpool have won 91 of their 228 meetings compared to Everton's 66. 41. The biggest rivalry in Argentina is fueled by Boca's working-class reputation and River Plate's upper-class supporter base, earning them the name Los Millonarios. 42. Boca fans call River Plate supporters chickens, and River Plate fans call Boca supporters manure collectors, because the river smells like in La Boca, which is an odd insult to the area considering River Plate also originate from La Boca. 43. Carlos Tevez once celebrated a derby goal by doing the chicken dance. He was red-carded for inciting a riot. 44. Boca currently edge the head-to-head record, with 88 wins to River's 80. 45. Galatasaray and Fenerbahce got along fine until 1934, when unexpectedly fans and players broke out in fights after some particularly rough challenges. The friendly game was abandoned. 46. Since then, the clubs have rivaled each other in honours, with Galatasaray currently the most successful club in Turkey with 70 trophies to Fenerbahce's 65. 47. However, Fenerbahce can currently boast a better derby record with 103 wins to Galatasaray's 81. 48. Hooliganism is dead in England, but it's very much alive and well in Turkey, where as recently as 2013, a 19-year-old was stabbed to death by a Galatasaray hooligan after a 2-1 Fenerbahce victory. 49. In 2011, a poll found that the country was almost evenly split between the two clubs. 50. Fenerbahce's Zeki Riza-Sporel is the derby top scorer, with a whopping 27. That's less surprising when you find out he scored 470 in 352 in his club career. 51. London-born Colin Kazim Richards was the last player to move directly between the two clubs back in 2011. 52. The Old Firm derby is contested by Glaswegian clubs Celtic and Rangers. The rivalry stems from religion, politics, identity, and social ideology. 53. For decades, Rangers had an unwritten rule never to sign any Catholic players, which ended when Graham Souness signed ex-Celtic striker Mo Johnston in 1989. 54. The teams have shared sponsors in the past due to businesses being likely to lose half its customer base if they only sponsor one. 55. When Rangers dropped down to the 3rd Division in 2012, due to their commercial entity being liquidated, it was the first time in 120 years that no fixture would be played between the two clubs. 56. The presence of both clubs contribute 120 million to the Scottish economy. 57. For all the doom and gloom for Rangers, they can boast the most wins with 159, but Celtic are just behind on 152. 58. The Milan derby is one of the very few derbies where both teams share the same stadium. Once again, the rivalry came about with one club seen as the bourgeois and the other club seen as the working class. 59. Two people who shared the same parents, same stadium, but not the same team were Giuseppe and Franco Baresi, both spending the majority of their careers playing each other. 60. The first meeting between the two was actually played in Canton Ticino, Switzerland. 61. Playing for both sides is more common than you think, with 35 players ending up at both clubs, Bonucci being the most recent. 62. Legendary madman Balotelli used to turn up to Inter training wearing AC Milan socks. He caused Inter fans more anger when a TV show managed to get him to put on a Rossoneri shirt, but he eventually put it on for real when he moved there in 2013. 63. In 219 meetings, Inter currently edge it with 78 wins to Milan's 75. 64. The Derby della Capitale between Roma and Lazio is one of the fiercest derbies in Europe. The rivalry formed when fascist dictator Mussolini wanted to merge Rome's clubs to challenge the dominance of the country's northern clubs. Roman, Alba Ordacci and Fortitudo became Roma, but Lazio resisted the merger. 65. In 1979, a Lazio fan was hit in the eye and killed by a flare fired from a Roma fan. 66. Their first ever meeting was a 1-0 Roma win in 1929, but in 2013 they met in the cup final for the first time ever, with Lazio winning 1-0. 67. In the 168 matches, Lazio have 45 wins, but Roma are ahead on 63. 68. The highest goal scorer is Francesco Totti, celebrating that feat with a selfie after scoring in the 2-2 comeback for Roma. 69. Swedish international Arne Selmason is the only player to score in the derby for both Lazio and Roma. 70. Selmason and Attilio Ferraris are the only two players to have moved directly from one club to the other. The only 9 other players to play for both clubs have gone via another club. The most recent example is Alexander Kolarov. 71. This is one derby where one side has been drastically better than the other, with Real's 86 wins to Atletico's 39. 72. Real's domination was so certain that in 2011, Real fans brandished a banner reading "Wanted, worthy rival for a decent derby." 73. It sounds harsh, but it made sense because between 1999 and 2013, Atletico failed to beat Real Madrid once. 74. It's fair to say that Atletico fans care more about the derby than Real, with one fan even being petty enough to throw away his rubbish on Real Madrid street. 75. The top scorer in the derby is CR7 with 21 goals. 6 of the top 7 goal scorers are Real Madrid players, with Atletico Madrid's Paco Campos the only one sneaking into the top scorer list. 76. The Manchester derby, where the tide has turned in recent years, hasn't always been as feisty as it has been recently. Before World War II, many supporters would watch City one week and United the next. 77. However, by the 70s, both the supporters and players bloody hated each other. George Best broke the leg of City's Glyn Pardo, who almost had to have his leg amputated as a result. In 1973-74, Mike Doyle and Lou Macari both received red cards and refused to leave the pitch. The referee took both teams back to the dressing rooms until they accepted their dismissals. And finally, we all know what Roy Keane did to poor Haaland. 78. Peter Schmeichel played for both sides and can still boast an unbeaten derby record in his 10 appearances. 79. United were unbeaten in derby games between 1989 and 2002. City won the last ever derby at Main Road and drew 1-1 at Old Trafford, making it the first time in 10 years that they had not lost to United in either of the 2 league meetings. 80. This unsurprisingly means United have won 72 of their meetings and City 50. However, since my boy Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan rocked up, it's become far more competitive, with City winning 7 and United 8 in their last 18 league meetings. 81. Legendary Manchester United manager Matt Busby spent his whole playing career at Manchester City as well as rivals Liverpool. 82. There's been some notable players to play for both teams, but the last one to play for City before turning red was Wyn Davies back in 1972. 83. Poorly photographed Ernest Magnell is the only manager to take charge of both teams. 84. Newcastle and Sunderland have been rivals for centuries, with it dating as far back to when both took opposite sides in the English Civil War. 85. In the time where derby that Newcastle lost 3-0, a Newcastle fan decided to punch a horse. 86. Newcastle and Sunderland are joined on 53 wins each, with Newcastle scoring just 4 less goals than Sunderland. 87. Sunderland's George Holley is top scorer in the time where derby with 15 goals. 88. Serial dodgy man and professional Jabba the Hutt lookalike Big Sam is the only man unfortunate enough to manage both teams. 89. Sunderland are currently undefeated in 9 matches against Newcastle, which included 6 consecutive victories. 90. However, it wasn't always plain sailing. When Sunderland won 2-1 at home in 2008, they ended a 28-year wait for a derby win at the Stadium of Light. 91. The largest ever victory was a 9-1 win by Sunderland in 1908. And once again, that is it. Don't forget to smash that motherfucking subscribe button, check out our other videos, comment below on what you want next, and don't forget to hate your neighbours with a burning passion.